The Dallas Cowboys should not be allowed to keep doing this, so we're gonna be going through that and 5 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Dallas Cowboys news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel hitting that red button down below. The first story is where the Cowboys present the biggest threat against the 49ers and should not be allowed to keep doing this as they are too good. It doesn't get any better than 49ers versus Cowboys in the playoffs. The hype and build-up to this game just would not be as great if the Buccaneers advanced. Luckily, Dallas took care of business to make this divisional playoff round a highly anticipated one. The Cowboys completely dominated the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. It was such a one-sided affair that made it practically unwatchable. Sure, the Buccaneers are a weak team, but the Cowboys do deserve credit for burying them to advance to the next round. It was a game in which they needed to build themselves some momentum as they face a strong 49ers side on the road. Dallas will be the toughest opponent the 49ers have faced since arguably the Chiefs. It won't be a walk in the park for the 49ers to win this game. They are going to have to battle fiercely to emerge as the victor in this one, with the Cowboys presenting a series of challenges. But where the Cowboys present the biggest threat of them all against the 49ers is with Dak Prescott. His performance in the win against Tampa Bay was astonishing. Prescott was flourishing through the air within the pocket and with off-schedule plays. He tucked it and ran several times and did not turn over the ball. He accounted for 5 touchdowns, which is vastly impressive. Again, it was against the Buccaneers, but that does not take much away from his performance. Otherwise, there should be nitpicking on the 49ers with their poor stretch against the Seahawks. Dak's always been a challenge, said Kyle Shanahan. When you're a pure pocket passer who can make all the throws in there and read the defense real well and get the ball to the right spots and do it accurately, that's why he's had the career he's had. When things do break down, he's got a knack for getting out of that pocket and make some off-schedule plays. That's why he's had such a successful career so far. Prescott easily played one of the best games of his career against the Buccaneers. He and the Cowboys are on a roll right now. If he is able to sustain anywhere near that level of play, then the 49ers will have their struggles. I do not expect Prescott to do what he did versus Tampa Bay to the 49ers defense. He is sure to come down more to earth against a more talented side. Still, he is locked in and playing with confidence right now. If Geno Smith was giving the 49ers their troubles for a stretch, then Prescott is sure to do that as well and more. An emphasis will be made going into this game with regards into what the Seahawks did well. But there were also moments in the game where the 49ers defense could have been head deep. This play above is one example of it. Watch how the middle receiver at the bottom of the screen gets open on this corner route. It could have been a touchdown. He gets open just enough for a quarterback of Prescott's caliber to attempt the throw. Smith doesn't wait for the route to develop and goes with the short route. Now maybe that was the designation all along for Seattle. Either way, a play like that is something the Cowboys will highlight and try with Prescott to attack the 49ers defense. Not to mention that Prescott can tuck it and run should the 49ers pass rush leave open lanes, which is most likely to happen. They do it all the time against mobile quarterbacks. Then there is the backyard football aspect when the play isn't there for Prescott, when he scrambles to find someone open. Prescott is going to be tough for the 49ers, especially if he can come close to the level he was at versus the Buccaneers. The second story is Cowboys may have advantage at QB over 49ers, but finding success goes beyond Dak Prescott. There was no physical torch on the sidelines at Candlestick Park on that late January afternoon 41 years ago, but America could sense something was shifting when Joe Montana found Dwight Clark in the back of the end zone that day. The Cowboys, who had lived in the Super Bowl, going 5 times in the 70 seconds, would not make a trip in the 80 seconds. The 49ers would win 4 Lombardi trophies in the decade. Likewise, for those of us in the press box 11 years later, we just passed the 30th anniversary of this game Tuesday. It was unofficial and yet it was there. If San Francisco, which always looked like the best team in the regular season, was going to fail a 3rd straight year to reach the Super Bowl, maybe the young Troy Aikman-led Cowboys were about to do something more than win one game. Indeed, they did. Now, first of all, this isn't that. It's not an NFC championship game, but the winner does get a ticket. Levi's Stadium is a good 40 miles south of San Francisco, so even the venue has changed. Moreover, this weekend feels like a different sort of a changing of the guard than simply Cowboys and 49ers passing a torch back and forth, although both are heavily involved. This weekend, with 8 teams seeking spots in conference title games, there isn't a single quarterback who has celebrated a 30th birthday still standing. At 29, Dak Prescott is the senior member of this group and the only product of the 2016 draft. In fact, the Cowboys 49ers game should feature the least likely quarterbacks to be handling starting jobs, much less torches. 5 quarterbacks playing this weekend were chosen in the top 10 picks in various drafts, with Cincinnati's Joe Burrow and Jacksonville's Trevor Lawrence going number 1 overall. Philly's Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick. Prescott, of course, was the 135th pick in 2016, and the 49ers Brock Purdy checked in dead last at number 262 coming out of Iowa State last April. You're not supposed to make cornerstones out of such late selections, but then again, the guy missing this weekend after being eliminated by Dallas was a 6th-round pick, so what does anyone really know when it comes to the draft? If Prescott is to guide Dallas back into that unfamiliar NFC title game territory, he needs to stay turnover-free for another weekend. But it really goes beyond number 4 in the pocket. The 49ers and Kyle Shanahan are attempting to prove, even if this was not by design, that if a team puts enough skill players around a most inexperienced, undecorated quarterback in a system built on physical dominance, it can still win a championship. And that's what Dallas is fighting against Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Is Tony Pollard a better running back than Christian McCaffrey? No, the historical ledger tells us otherwise. But for one afternoon, can Pollard produce as many big plays as the newest 49ers back? Can the Dallas line that looked revitalized against Tampa Bay before losing veteran tackle Jason Peters hold up against a supremely talented 49ers front seven? You feel like that has to happen for Dallas to survive and advance. If not, can CeeDee Lamb put together his finest big game as a pro? Wide receiver Deebo Samuel was the dominant player in the 49ers' 23-17 playoff win over Dallas last year, and he did it from the backfield. Samuel ran for more yards than Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott combined. Meanwhile, Lamb caught one pass for 21 yards, and he really was not an early factor in the blowout win over Tampa Bay on Monday night. The third story is Mike McCarthy roster reacts to team's underdog status versus 49ers. After being billed as the underdogs heading into the divisional round, the Cowboys will enter Sunday's road game against the 49ers, looking to prove NFL fans and oddsmakers wrong in a big way. As of Wednesday, the betting odds tabbed San Francisco, the NFC's number 2 seed, as a 3.5-point favorite, further stacking the deck against number 5 Dallas going into a contest facing a team that's won its last 11 games. But despite what the numbers may be saying about the Cowboys ahead of the game, Coach Mike McCarthy made it clear on Friday that his team is not worried about perceived as the underdog. In fact, McCarthy told reporters that the Cowboys are very comfortable with the label and are choosing to focus solely on winning and not the outside noise. We all like the fact that people are doubting you. I think that's part of human nature, McCarthy said, per John Machota of The Athletic. I think that's part of the dynamics of each and every one of us. We all come from somewhere. We're very comfortable in this position. We're clearly going there expecting to win. Make no bones about that. I understand that they have a job to do too. We know the type of environment we're getting ready to go into. Sunday's matchup in Santa Clara will mark the first time McCarthy has coached on the road against San Francisco during his 3 seasons with Dallas. The contest will also be a rematch from last season's wild card meeting that saw the Niners earn a 23-17 victory. The fourth story is Dan Quinn might have saved Cowboys secondary with this personnel change. Dak Prescott's 5-touchdown performance is what everyone is talking about, considering how he's viewed among the NFL media. But the Dallas Cowboys defense turned in their best performance in recent memory in Monday's wild card win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Cowboys fans were taken for a spin pregame, however, when Dallas inactives list featured cornerback Noshawn Wright. A projected starter with Trevon Diggs and Daron Bland, Wright stepped up to the challenge against the Eagles on Christmas Eve before enduring a rough night in coverage versus the Titans the following week. Perhaps it was that performance that influenced his benching, but he still produced an interception. Whatever the case, Wright lost his spot on the active roster to Israel Mukuamu. The decision indicated Dallas would run a lot of 4 safety looks, with Mukuamu joining Jaron Kears, Donovan Wilson, and Malik Hooker. That wasn't the case. Instead, Dan Quinn tasked Mukuamu with covering the slot, and the second-year defender made Quinn look like a genius in the process. So much so that Kears gave Mukuamu a proper shout-out on Twitter after the victory. Israel Mukuamu needs to be the Cowboys' 3rd cornerback after he started against the Buccaneers. Peep the engagement on Kears's Twitter. Sure seems like Mukuamu has the backing of ample Cowboys fans after Monday night. The 5th story is Micah Parsons on Cowboys matchup with 49ers. I really like being the underdog. Last year, the San Francisco 49ers knocked the Dallas Cowboys out of the postseason. With a rematch on tap Sunday night, quarterback Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are looking to even the score in the divisional round. Most definitely, Prescott said, via the team's official website. I think this whole team did. Obviously, using that loss last year as a motivation and just kind of the focal point of the resiliency that we carried into the offseason, carried into this year. Yeah, we get a chance to go back and at their place, do something that we want to do. In last year's wild card loss, Dallas fell behind 10-0 in the first quarter, being outgained 110-7 in yards in the opening frame. The Cowboys were down 23-7 entering the fourth quarter before a rally came up short on the infamous design QB run that left Dallas without a last-second chance, losing 23-17. Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy referred to the lost Friday as a sacred wound.